Good morning, everyone, and today I'll be teaching you guys the chapter The Letter in English Communicative Syllabus, Class 10th. This is The Letter by Ketu, which is a prolific Gujarati writer. He's known for his short stories and his overall contribution to Gujarati literature. Right? He is good at bringing out human emotions and everything in a story. So, this is The Letter. Right? The Letter by Ketu. First of all, let's discuss the characters in the story. Our main character protagonist is the Ali in the first part of the story, and in the second part, the main character will be Postmaster. Right. So Ali is here. I'll give you the gist of it. Ali is a clever shikari. Is not a clever shikari, but he used to be a clever shikari. Right. So he was a very skilled shikari. But when his daughter Miriam got married away, he realized the pain of separation and the value of love. Right. So then Ali started his repentance towards this by showing up as a pilgrimage towards the post office as a religious place every day for 4 a.m. And he kept that up for 5 years. And then when he reached the post office, right, then those like the people at the post office used to tease him, called him a maniac, called him crazy, madman, right? They called him a pest. Those were the words they used. And that did not affect Ali that much. But when Ali later, let's continue with the story. Like, I do not want to spoil it. So let's start. The letter by Dhumketu. So first of all, we discuss the scene of the route of Ali from his house to the post office. So here in this image, as you can see, there is this house at the end of this. This is the postmaster, the post office. So when he used to go at 4 a.m., what happened that when he used to go, first of all, there was a really gray sky due to the dawn. Right, dawn is basically early sunrise. Right, there's a gray sky. The stars were still glowing. Right, you can see the stars were still glowing, and sounds of grinding mills were coming to him, and a woman who would be working out, like singing for the children, would be heard sweet singing, right, which helped him in his lonely way. Like, and the stars and the sky were as the stars were lit up as happy memories lit up when life is nearing its close. That was given as a metaphor in the story, as happy memories light up in a life nearing its close, as we near death. Right. So this is his route. There are on one side of the road there are a line of trees which are growing, and on one side there is a park. Right. And Ali is moving through the road while holding his stick, walking through, and it's a very intense cold. And the cold was as cold, and it was given as a metaphor to false friends who lull you into bad habits. Right. So that was given to the cold. That whole town was in deadly silence. Right. This shows the scenario. Occasional barking of a dog. Right. Did all of that, and this all happened, like, and all of this happened. Then finally, when Ali reached the post office, he looked at the post office and was feeling the joy that a pilgrim does when he sees the first goal of his journey. What was the joy? The joy was similar to that of a pilgrim who reaches the first destination, or the first goal of his journey, right? So when he reaches there, he finds two, three people, and he squats on the bench in the post office, right? So he squats on the bench as in sit, right? And then he hears the guy call a bunch of names like superintendent, commissioner, divan sahab, librarian, for addressing them their letters. This clerk has developed this fast reading skills due to reading out these letters at so much, like divan sahab, commissioner, superintendent, librarian, fast, 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 like that. So Ali is addressing that, and suddenly, to troll Ali, or you can say to make fun of Ali, he just shouts, "Coachman Ali!" Right? And Ali is very shocked and surprised. He's really happy. Right? He looked toward the heaven in gratitude that he had finally reached his letter. Right? So first of all, let's discuss this. Right? And what happens is that Ali had been coming here for 5 years straight. So he's really happy. He looks towards the heaven and steps forward. And then the clerk shouts, "Gokul Bhai." Ali says, "Gokul Bhai." And he says, "Yes, who is there?" So Ali says, "You called out Coachman Ali, the name, didn't you? Here I am. I have come for my letter." Right. So this is what happened. Now what does the clerk do? The clerk calls him a madman. The clerk says, "It's a madman, sir, who worries us by calling every day for the letters that never come." Right? So these people are talking about Ali. And Ali just listens this, gets kind of disappointed and sad, and goes back to the bench. Right? Like his 5 years that she used to sit on the same bench. Then what happens is that, now let's look at the story. Now what happens is that now Ali's past life has been discussed, like how he used to be in the past. Past of Ali. See, Ali in his past, wait, I can just move it so I can show this better to you. Hmm. Ali in his past was a very clever shikari. He was unable to pass a day without hunting, and he had immense love for the game hunting. Right? He was a really skilled hunter who always knew where the animal was hiding and was always able to bring it down. A brown partridge is a type of a bird. Oh shit! A brown partridge is a type of a bird. Right? This brown partridge is very fast. It's very good, and whenever you assume that whenever Ali saw this brown partridge, it was as good as in his bag. It was as good as in his bag. That means if you see it, yeah, I mean that's now dead. Whenever he saw the hare, what is a hare? A hare is a kind of a rabbit, you can say. He would see its ears even when dogs fail to smell it out or see it. In the yellow bush, he noticed his ears and killed it. And Ali's friends consisted of fishermen, right? So this is the past of Ali. Now, what happened is that when like when his only child Miriam got married to a soldier in Punjab. I think it's not visible. Yeah, a soldier in Punjab. Yeah, so he led to a cheerless existence. Now he felt immense pain and found no joy in killing any animals. He couldn't laugh after killing animals and seeing them lose their parents. They're like bereft of their parents. That's the line. Hunter's instincts, yeah, even though he had hunter instincts in his bones, in his blood, he did have the instincts, but he now was not really that kind of a hunter anymore. Right? He just lost hunting once he experienced the pain of separation, understood the meaning of love and separation. Right? Right. Now what happens? When the evening of his life was near, that means that the end of his life, like in the old days of his life, the 7 ages, then he realized that the universe is all made up of love and grief, of separation, was escapable. He realized that the universe was made up of love and the grief of separation was inescapable. You could not escape the grief, the separation, the pain caused by separation. So when he realized this, he wept bitterly under a tree. Right. So what happened is that when he first realized this, he was very sad, and he sat down under a tree, understood this, and from then he made a determining and a resilient choice to make a daily pilgrimage towards the post office at 4 a.m. every single day. And he did that with immense perseveration, which led to the birth of hope and faith in him. And this hope and faith led him to immense and infinite patience and boundless faith. These are the words you can use in answers. Immense faith and boundless, yeah, what can you say, boundless patience. Right, that led to his birth. So this was the past of Ali. What happened to him? What led to this nature that Ali has towards life? Right. So when this happened, uh, when Ali waited, the PMs would discuss the master scandals, and then the postmaster would come. Here, yeah, the postmaster's face was as sad as and inexpressive as a pumpkin. Right. This is the first description of the postmaster, and these people are born to for these jobs, right, and are emotionless, eager to express themselves. Right. What happened is that when he saw this postmaster, he even Ali immediately know this kind of people were suitable for the jobs of schoolmasters, office clerks, and schoolmasters, office clerks, and there was this postmaster. These were the three jobs he thought that were very suitable for people like them, right? So yeah, now let's see. When this happened and he saw this postmaster come, now what happened is that these people started discussing about Ali, right? So when he comes in, and yeah, yeah. So what happened is that now in the post office there is this room, right? So it's a different room where he used to sit. There is the postmaster sitting inside. So during छुट्टी time, basically Ali यहाँ bench पे बैठा रहता था, यहाँ पे bench बना दिया, वो दिख नहीं रहा होगा सही से, नहीं Ali यहाँ पे बैठा रहता था. तो जब पोस्टमास्टर का दरवाजा खुलता था और निकलता था, तो उसकी शक्ल को जब देखा था उसने अपने कमरे से निकलते हुए, तब की बात हो रही है यहाँ पे, ना कि वो आया था पोस्टमास्टर. पोस्टमास्टर निकलने वाला था, मतलब ऑफिस के क्लोजिंग आवर्स थे, राइट? सो व्हेन ही वाज लीविंग, he saw his face, and then they said police commissioner, superintendent, everybody started calling his Yeah, there was another PM who called his superintendent and worship like 1,000 names. Uh, Names of Vishnu, like that. That was the comparison right here. Right. And at last they had gone. Ali too. Ali was a very weird man. He got up and saluted the post office and then went away. And the postmaster saw this and he said, "That fellow, is he mad?" And then the clerk says, "Yes, no matter what the weather, he has been coming daily for 5 years, but he doesn't get many letters." Then the postmaster says that I can understand that nobody has time to write letters every single day, right? So then they talk about him. He says that he's a bit touched. Touched means weird, right? And they say that he's kind of a madman, and he talks about his past that he had committed many sins in his past and shed some blood within sacred premises, and is now paying for his work, right? And the postman added this. Now the postmaster said, "Madmen are strange people." Now what they start doing are they start talking about madmen, right? So this is kind of a usual dramatic scene where usually people start talking suddenly and then stop, and then suddenly for a break they start talking again, and then they stop. So this is that kind of a scene. So they start saying that the Americans are strange people. Then the first example is given. When I was in Ahmedabad, a postman said, I saw one who did nothing except make little heaps of dust. This is, I don't know why they have listed this, but I think you should just, ये कहाँ पे हुआ था? Ahmedabad में, right? So in Ahmedabad, he saw a man who was making little heaps of dust, and another who had a habit of going to a river, right? Going to a river and watering specific stone. So he's making a humor to Hinduism, you can say. And then one person does talk about a person who used to used to never cease declaiming poetry, and a third who would slap himself on his cheek and begin to cry because slap himself, right? And then begin to cry because he was getting beaten. These were the habits they were talking about, or strange people. This is kind of a usual scenario when they get a topic, they have to take a break, so they just talk about something very funny to make a break. So everyone was talking about lunacy. Lunacy means idiocy, stupidity, and they were saying that to them we must appear mad too. Like the world of the madmen are a bit like poets, right? And they live in a world of their own world, and they continue to say that these madmen think that we are madmen too, and they are normal. This is what they come up with. They start laughing around, and then everything becomes still again. Like they started working again. This is kind of a usual thing in offices also. If you see offices, this happens in offices also. This is very common. And then we move ahead. Now, what happened is very interesting. For 5 years straight, Ali had come. Now, what happened is that Ali didn't show up for a few several days, but nobody in the office had enough sympathy and understandingness to see that why is Ali not coming, right? And impatience. There was a when he came up, like after several days, um, he was very impatient and he was struggling to breathe, right? Struggling to breathe. Ali was struggling to breathe, which showed that he was nearing his end. Nearing his end, matlab he was near death, like he was dying. So what happened is that he came, but the people were like kind of there, and when he came up, he said, "Master Sahib, do you have letter from my Miriam?" Right? Yeah, he was struggling to breathe and approaching end. He could not contain impatience. He asked the postmaster, "Have you had a letter?" Then the postmaster calls him a pest. Pest means a kida. You're annoying. And Ali is very dumb. He just says, "My name is Ali. My name is Ali." I don't know why. It's absent-mindedly. Like absent-minded. He answered that. Actually, apply right. Right. That should make it more visible. Now, now what happened is that you think I've got Miriam's name registered. फिर उसके बाद वो बोलने लगता है कि how would I know, but I'm a village person, right? That nobody cared about my Miriam rather than her poor father, right? Then the postmaster was losing his temper. Have you no sense? He's just starting to uh, be insensitive to Ali, right? He's saying, "Get away. You think we are going to eat your litter, right? But even though Ali's patience has exhausted, he still had some faith. Oh my God, like he still had some faith. So what he does next will shock you. What he does next is that Ali um, does what? He gives the postmaster 5 gold guineas. What is a guinea? It's basically a sort of a coin that was used in earlier times. It's kind of a currency, you can say. So what Ali does is gives him his life savings and says that I couldn't make use for it, but you could at least make use for it, and gave 5 gold guineas and gave it to him and said that when the Miriam's letter, he says that I'm giving you this in the presence of Allah, and when Miriam's letter comes, you have to send it to me. But where am I supposed to send it? He says to my grave because he knew that he is going to die. And he says that this is my last day. Right? He knows that he's going to die. Right? So this happens, and after this, Ali's eyes में tear आने लगते हैं, रोने लग जाता है, and क्लर्क स्लोली चला जाता है 5 गोल्ड कीनीज के साथ, और फिर अली फिर से कभी नहीं दिखता है. Like Ali was never seen. बस मतलब at least हम लोगों को इतना पता है. He was exhausted and tired. He was sad and hopeless, but he still had faith. That shows Ali's nature. Then what happens is that this is a trouble for the postmaster. Now Ali is dead. Now the postmaster is the main character. What happens is that the postmaster's daughter is very sick. Right, like Ali's. We are comparing this kind of to Ali's. The postmaster's daughter is very sick, and she is outside of the city in another town. Right. So um, he is very impatient, restless, and the postmaster is very eager, expecting the letter and very troubled. And he, whenever he saw a letter of the same color that he was expecting, like yeah, this letter will come from my daughter. When he opens that letter, when he opens that letter, I don't know if you can see it. When he opens that letter, he sees that the letter is addressed to Coachman Ali. The letter was addressed to the coachman Ali. He drops the letter in shock. Right? He's as if he had been shocked by electricity. And now, because he was very restless, so for his daughter, all of the temper and the anger and this all of things, this pride had dropped from his mind, and the human heart was open. And when he saw that letter, his heart was very restless, and he was very sad after finding out Ali's true reasons. So when he saw this, right, he found this letter. He says, Lakshmi Das, Lakshmi Das, right? Postmaster says, is this is for your coachman? Where is he now? I will find out, sir. Right, wait a second. Oh, bullshit. Yeah. Now, I will find him now, sir. And what happened is that all day, all night, he was waiting. And when he gets up at 3 a.m., 3 a.m., that's how much restless he was. Right. So he wakes up at 3 a.m. and says that I will give this to Ali myself when he comes at 4 a.m. Right. And when he realized the feeling of the Ali's heart, he understood Ali's heart and his very soul. His heart was brimming with sympathy and for the old man who had spent his nights in the same suspense for 5 years. What he experienced for a few days, he experienced for 5 years. He was brimming with sympathy. Sympathy. You know, he understood Ali's heart and soul, right? And he also realized his pain as a father, like the father had reawakened in him. And he was very sad. He recognized that Ali's heart, and he heard a knock, like he heard a sound from outside, and he realized that I think this is Ali. So he says, "Come on, brother Ali," he cried, and he says this to the meek old man, like the meek old, unearthly, divine, with a softened smile, and when bent double means like this. You take a bread, you cut this, and then fold it like that. Right? When he sees him, he is very happy and says that Ali, come here. Right? When he looks at him, when his eyes were open, he saw that Ali's eyes were glittering and glowing with an unearthly presence. Ali's eyes, right? And he's very shocked. He's bewildered to see his face, right? He shrank back in astonishment. He's shocked to find out what is happening. What is this, right? And Lakshmi Das, the person, that clerk, I think, the postman, hears and says, "What's up, postmaster? What happened?" Right? Who was that? Old Ali. And he was startled with his wide eyes wide open. Mm, he's shocked, right? He's like, "Huh? What happened?" And the Ali had disappeared. Like with an unearthly smile, the Ali had disappeared from there. And Lakshmi Das informs the postmaster that Ali, the coachman Ali, died 3 months ago. 3 months. 3 months ago, Ali had died. 3 months. Right. That's crazy. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. Right. Then he was bewildered. Right. He listened to Lakshmidas' last recital of the last interview, but he could not doubt the reality of the knock. Was it his imagination that deceived him? Was it Lakshmidas? Had he really seen Ali? He was very shocked. He asked questions from himself. He was eagerly looking. Right. Then what happened is that he felt immense pain inside him. By the postmaster, when now the daily recitals began because it was 4 a.m. Now the daily recitals of the letters came, but there was a change in the postmaster's heart. What was the change? Now, whenever he looked at a letter, he treated each and every letter as a live human beating heart inside that. Right? He treated it like that and watched them eagerly. And he no longer thought of them in paper and envelopes, but he treated them as essential as human work. He saw the actual value of a letter. He was he was very. It was a change in his heart, right? Now, what happened is that after walking towards the that evening, you could have seen Lakshmi Das and the postmaster walking towards Ali's grave, and they laid the letter and turned back. Then he asked, "Lakshmi Das, were you the first one?" "Yes, I was the first." And then the postmaster scratches his head. "How can that be?" Right? Ben says, "Oh, never mind." Now he's sitting at a charcoal cigarette, right? And he's now in true anguish and pain after realizing how badly he had treated Coach Manali, right? He's very sad. He's really sad. This is the charcoal cigarette. This is the charcoal cigarette. And now, when he realized this, he sat with a newly awakened father's heart. Newly awakened father's heart. And actually knew what Ali had gone through. He was filled with remorse, guilt, anguish, regret. He was filled with this sort of repentance, tortured by his doubt, his remorse. He was tortured by himself. That how could I treat such a man? He felt his guilt, and he was traumatized, and he regretted treating Ali so insensitively, so badly. And now this was the second stage of the postmaster's life, and he sits there sad with a newly awakened father's heart. Now that's over. The chapter is over. So if there is time, I would like to continue with some questions. It's been only a few minutes, so let's do some questions. This is a very interesting story. Now let's do NCRT. Right. NCRT. Ali displays the qualities of love and patience. Give evidence from the story to support this statement. Of course, there are many instances in the story where we see Ali show the his qualities of love and patience. So first of all, first is that 4 a.m. pilgrimage is an example. Right. 5 years daily weather. He did not care about the weather. He went every single day at 4 a.m. And this shows his patience. Even though no letter, you can use that word, boundless faith and infinite patience. This is the word in the book. Right. Next. How do you know that Ali was a familiar figure in the post office? This is very simple. You can just answer this with because the post office was very used to him. They called him a pest, saying that He showed up every day at the office, and he was the first one to reach there. He had become the topic of gossip. Topic of gossip. People were gossiping about his story, right? About madmen and stuff. They called him madman and had become quite familiar with him. Next, let's see. In the story, the postmaster says, "What a pest you are, Ali." Shani Nini. Wait a minute. Why did Ali give up hunting? Why did Ali give up hunting? This is a very interesting question because this has two, three meanings inside it. But let's discuss. Ali gave up hunting for two reasons. The first reason was the realization of the existence of the universe. The second was the loss of his daughter. Not the loss, but the loss. Like, not dead, but she went away, right? So, first reason, Miriam, right? Pain of separation, right? Did not find happiness. पहले तो लिखेंगे clever शिकारी, right? Miriam, 10-year-old daughter. नहीं, नहीं, sorry, 10 year. Only child. Did not find fun, like funny, calling it happiness, right? This can be used another word that Ali was filled with remorse. I don't think we should use that word because it might confuse the examiner. So I would use another befitting word that Ali gave up hunting because he realized that the universe was all built up of love and the grief of separation was inescapable, and that this separation from his daughter made him realize the true and the essence of love and human love. He brought about a change in his life. He changed him, became a person, became a patient and very in a patient and faithful person, and he could no longer enjoy killing animals and getting them separated from their parents. Now let's see next. The story is a letter. The postmaster said, "What a pest you are. Do you agree? Give reasons." No, this is E. What impression do you form of the postmaster? Impression of the postmaster. First of all, the postmaster was as emotionless as a pumpkin, as sad and expressionless as a pumpkin. Second, the postmaster was a very arrogant person. He made fun of Ali. He was a very insensitive person. He did not understand Ali's true intentions, and he was a very cold person with no compassion. Right? He was very rude and unsympathetic towards Ali. But after he came to a realization and found himself in the same shoes of Ali, he had a change in heart, and the newly vacant father inside him was filled with remorse and regret. He was able to understand Ali, his true emotions, his heart, and his very soul. Next, the postmaster says, "What a pest you are, brother." Do you agree with this statement? Give reasons. No, Ali was not a pest. So first of all, you do not have to be very inclined towards one negative or positive. You just have to say Ali was not a pest, but the postmaster, who himself was a person without compassion, he failed to understand the feeling of Ali and an anxious father. He considered him a pest because he came every day expecting a letter. He did not know Ali's true circumstances. Next, Ali came out very slowly, turning after every few steps to gaze at the post office. His eyes were filled with tears of helplessness. His patience was exhausted, even though he still had faith. Why were the eyes of Ali filled with tears of helplessness? What had exhausted her patience? And why was he filled with faith? So this is a very good question. I appreciate. First of all, Ali was ill. Right. Ali was ill, near end. He knew that he was going to die and it was his last day. Right. So he was unable to come to the office for several days, and he knew that it was his last day. And he was approaching death. He approached the postmaster for his daughter's letter, but he was badly rebuked and abused by the postmaster. And due to this treatment, the Ali's eyes were filled with tears of his own hopelessness, and that he was very helpless. This led to him crying. But even though he still had hope and his patience had given away, he desperately hoped that even after his death, he would be able to hear from William. You know that grave thing, right? 5 gold guineas. Guineas की spelling दिखा दे रहा है एक second. Guineas की spelling है Guineas. Guineas नहीं, Guineas. Genius. IU होता है, IU की जगह EA लगा दो. IUEA. Next question. Tortured by doubt and remorse, he sat down in the glow of the charcoal cigarette to wait. Who is tortured? Why? What is he waiting for? First of all, who? The postmaster. Why? He was waiting for the news from his little daughter. He spent the whole night in suspense. He realized that understood the pain of Ali. He felt remorse. He was filled with anguish, and he was filled with guilt and broken. He was tortured, and he realized that he was too insensitive and regretted his behavior and actions towards Ali. and due to this, he was waiting to calm himself down, and he was filled with the regret of having to fail the understanding the intensity of the feelings of a father, anxious father. Next question. These long answers are bad. I'll give you three questions for today. Right. So three questions. One, two, three. Right. So first question of the day. Um, what made the postmaster understand the pain of Ali? First question. Second question. Um, why does the no. You can say Ali is an example of true hope and faith. उसके आगे लिख देना comment. Right. Third question. Um, explain Ali's past. What led to his change? That's all.